reach us at 1322.
Welcome to another edition of El Police Radio Podcast number 9. And I'm your host, Alpha Mike. This show is going to be extremely enjoyable because today we have Mike the Cop on the show. Mike the Cop, the guy that makes you laugh in social media, dressed up as a cop. And if you're in the business and you're on social media, believe it or not, there's some cops that don't even have an iPhone. It's true. I've seen it. And they don't even know that social media exists, but we're not going to tell them anything. We're going to keep it nice and quiet. It's a little secret between us. But there's a lot of others that do know, and they have enjoyed the content that Mike the Cop has put out there. So he's coming on the show to kind of give us a little briefing on why he does what he does and all the wonderful things that he's associated with. And I know you're going to enjoy it. Humor. How important is humor on the everyday, day by day monotony of a law enforcement officer? You know, once you put on the uniform and you go to work, you learn very quickly as a rookie that as soon as you make your first mistake, you will not live that down for several days, weeks, months, or years. Nicknames might even be formulated with your mistake. And that's a part of the sense of humor that law enforcement has. It carries through its day a lot of what it's seeing, the sadness it's seeing, the horrors it's dealing with, and it transfers all that into humor. And that humor carries officers on a day by day. So we wanted to reach out to Mike. We did. We've been going back and forth for several months on this engagement. He is extremely busy. He's got a lot on his plate, and you'll shortly find out when we bring him on. But a lot of the good work that he's doing is for charity, so we definitely are looking forward to that. There's a lot of sadness that you see in the news. If you're still out there and you're still a believer in news outlets trying to inform you positively of something, I have something to tell you. The truth is, they're just going to make you a lot more depressed. And when you see these horrifying stories on police officers getting shot in the line of duty, we're reaching an epidemic proportion in this country that you say, when is it going to stop? They're getting shot down for no reason at all, for somebody's agenda. There's an agenda out there. This is just not coincidentally some officer getting randomly shot. Shootings are way up in killing law enforcement officers. And you have to really, really say enough is enough. But while we deal with these tragedies, we need to really focus on the families that are affected when a law enforcement officer died, the loved ones they leave behind, and how you can help them. So this show is going to enrich you in a lot of those ideas and hopefully spark a flame in you that you want to go ahead and help out as much as you can. We have our shows coming up. Just do some shameless plugs here. You want to listen to our show. Okay, how the hell do you start? Where do you start? You start at Google. You type in L, capital L, like in Lima, lpoliceradio.com. And we pop up. And there, that'll take you to iTunes, Stitcher, this, that, and the other thing, YouTube, and everything else that's out there, all the other platforms And you connect with us. Once you connect with us, you can become part of our community. And on Facebook, we're there too. El Police Radio on Facebook. On Twitter, El Police Radio. I believe there's two accounts, and you can reach out to me, Alpha Mike. Alpha Mike, what is it? It's called a handle. I just learned that the other day. Handle on the Twitter, Alpha Mike 2017. So you can send me fun little notes there that I'm sure will uplift me. And once you connect with us, well, then you're a part of our audience, you're part of our group, and we'll tackle things together. What is the outcome of this program? What is the purpose of this program? To educate people on law enforcement, from making them human beings. That's the most important thing. What did how do you become a police officer? How do you become a correction officer? How do you become a federal agent? I don't want to get on with the story with the FBI. What in the what in the world's going on over there? Does anybody tell the freaking truth? Who the hell's in charge anyway? Anyway, that's another story. We'll be back in a minute with that one. And how the agency becomes accredited, how the agency deals on a day by day basis. How do they open up their door for business? And a lot of people are misguided. They believe that a police officer ought to do is drive around in circles and give tickets. And a correction officer is a mindless job. And I guess today a federal agent is a spy for the Russian government. I don't know. But there's a lot that goes into it. And on this podcast, El Police Radio, you'll learn all aspects of law enforcement. Our shows coming up November 23rd is You're Done. And those segments, that show is about a retired life. Once you've been active for so many years, the struggle is real. What in the world is the struggle? Putting on your gun belt at 6 in the morning or 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning. Uh, trying, trying to take it off when you have an emergency bathroom run. Okay. And putting on a uniform and going to work every day and going through those struggles. So we're that platform now, we're changing it from that your daily business to there's nothing there for you. Your head is full of knowledge. I know everything. I was there for Epton years. And all of a sudden you become an outdated vehicle that nobody really cares. And we're going to look at the psychological effects, the emotional effects, and how to continue going forward. And there's a lot of struggles. Looking at, on a serious note, looking at the suicide rate for police officers between 125 and 150 a year, which has gone down, but still an alarming rate. And the majority of them were active, not necessarily retired, but there are some that are retired. So, how do you attack suicide in that community? You attack it at all levels. Retired, active, at all levels, at all aspects of law enforcement, not just one. So, we're going to be looking at in those segments, You're Done, and how you deal with the life after law enforcement. You know, everybody knows you had a uniform, waiting online. What in the world is this? Is this a bill without a discount? You know, continuing going forward, now all of a sudden as a civilian. A piece of tin in your pocket says retired. Does it have any merit? And does it really mean anything to anybody? And we'll look at those things on the segment You're Done. As you know, there's a big effort now on banning weapons, the banning of from rifles to to semi-automatics to whatever they can come up with. And our friends on the left didn't waste any time never to allow a tragedy to go undone. They've already presented legislation to ban assault weapons, what they call assault weapons, which is actually a rifle. And we'll see how that works. We'll see how that works out for them when it's election time. Americans, in my personal opinion, don't want to disarm. They want to arm. You know, it's funny when it comes from an individual of a liberal mindset, and they're standing at a podium and they're telling you how guns kill people, which I've never seen a gun kill a person. I've seen a person kill a person, but not a gun kill a person. And then they have armed security that protect them. Hmm. Isn't it strange how our friends on the left want to control and take away our guns, but they've armed Iran with the ability of a nuclear weapon? Extraordinary. It's extraordinary how they come out more and more to attack what the founding fathers of this country have built. Recently, all of a sudden, the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance is discriminatory. What the hell are we doing? What kind of nation are we turning into? When you destroy who you are, you become nothing. And that's what we're doing. We're destroying this nation. We're allowing these fools in government to dictate how we should live. Fools because they've not done anything. Look at their records, the majority of 30, 40 plus years in Congress and in the Senate. All they freaking did was go to school, get a law degree, and then become a pain in everybody's rear end. That's all they did. Masters of nothing. Masters of manipulation, maybe. So lobbyists come, they sit down, they explain to them some so-called bill that's on the floor. And then these idiots, these fools, try to figure out how they can manipulate it for their own good, for their own gain. And we as the American citizens just sit there with our freaking mouth open, shocked, dismayed, saying, how in the hell did it get this bad? We weren't paying attention. Simple as that. Time to tighten it up now. It's time to tighten it up. And there's a lot of freedoms that we could lose if we're not paying attention. I am a firm believer that every day we need to get up, thank the Lord for number one, we're breathing. Number two, the blessings that we have. And a part of that blessing is the freedom that we have in this country, that we as American citizens can enjoy that freedom on an everyday basis, while there are millions and billions of other individuals in the world that don't have the freedoms that we have. And here are a group of individuals in our country sticking their middle finger out at our freedoms and our blessings. Yep, 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 yep. Sure are. We're in the Christmas season now, so 'tis the season to start getting foolish. So if you're out and about, situational awareness, very important. Be prepared where you're going. Make sure you're looking around. If you're carrying, make sure you carry in your exact spot. Don't be changing the weapon around in different locations because it looks cute, because when it goes down, you won't know where to go. And make sure you know how to deal with your weapon. Have a plan. You're with the family. What do they do? Where do they go? Okay? Concealment versus cover. Learn these things. Learn these things because these are the days that we're in now. Unfortunately. And an alert should go off, an alarm, nice and loud. An alarm should go off when you start seeing police officers assassinated for doing their jobs by unknown individuals over and over and over again. Well, guess what? Eventually, it's going to be us. So, Keep your eye on the ball and make sure you're training. And when you're not busy, train. And when you have some free time, train again. And when you're finished training, train. That's all I can tell you. So I'm ready. If you're ready, I'm looking forward to our guest, Mike the Cop. He's going to come on here. Not only tell us why he started the social platform he did, which is hilarious and uplifting, but why he's involved in all these other nonprofits, what they mean, and how you can join his ranks in helping him out in those efforts. So, without any further ado, let's bring on our guest, Mike the Cop. And here's our guest, Mike the Cop, and we're very happy, of course, to have him on the show. Mike, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, one of the first things that we do on this show on El Police Radio is we have this little routine that we do called the Fantastic Five. 5 rapid questions. I'm going to shoot at you, and whatever comes
Yeah,
off
I'm
the
down.
top of your whatever comes off the top of your head, and we'll just play by ear, as they say. Here we go. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. Favorite comedian?
Oh, Jerry Seinfeld.
Favorite movie?
Pulp Fiction.
Really? Wow, that's a little bit of an opposite, but okay. My co-host's favorite question: if you could fight any animal in the world, what animal would it be?
Probably a gerbil, so I'd be guaranteed to win.
So many gerbil jokes pop into somebody's head. Okay, we'll keep on going. We'll keep on going. It's a family show.
Yeah, people are going to question why I said gerbil right off the top of my head. I don't even know. I probably need to see somebody after this.
Well, you know how it works. Okay, here we go.
Taxi!
What was that? Question number 3. No, question number 4. Favorite sports team?
Oh my goodness. All-time Detroit Tigers. Yeah.
Last question. Should be an easy one. It's not very difficult. Favorite teacher when you were in grammar school? I made you think.
Favorite teacher when I was in grammar school? Oh, I think her name was Mrs. Shire. I'm almost positive.
What subject?
Well, it was, I think it's like 4th grade-ish. So she
Okay.
taught, several subjects or whatever. So she would have been sort of like an overall all teacher or whatever. And she was pretty cool.
Okay. So we threw you for a little loop. You successfully passed, of course, the Fantastic Five. Quick-witted.
I like this. I'm gonna do that on my podcast with my co-host. I think it's a
I
fun
think
little
it's
intro game.
Yeah, it's a fun little game. Now, gerbil, well, in police work, you know how it is. You make one mistake and you never live it down.
Yeah, it's gonna stick with you
might
forever.
have-
It's gonna give you a nickname.
Yeah, oh boy, is it going to give you a nickname. Mike,
People can-
for our audience, could you introduce yourself a little bit to them?
I'm Mike. I'm a cop. I've been in police work since 2009. I went into the police academy, I think, in July of 2009, and that's me. I cruised along as a cop for a while, and then decided that I wanted to participate in sort of giving back to that community. The law enforcement community has been really good to me and for me, and I've wanted to do something to give back to that community, and also to help work at the bettering the perception that sometimes exists in a negative light in mainstream and social media. And so that led to working with groups like Humanizing the Badge and going ahead and being willing to sort of like label this thing that I do out there as Mike the Cop and have sort of like that brand attachment to it. And that's what I spend my spare time doing.
Now, there's a lot of listeners that know you very humorously on social media as Mike the Cop. So I know that one question that everybody has is, have you always been a comedian?
I don't even know that I would consider myself a comedian. I honestly just be myself. I don't really try to do something that's funny or try to do something that's serious. It's like, if it's one or the other, it is what it is for me, and I just go for it. I really hope that whatever I do, I'm just being myself. So if people find it funny, I mean, if people say that, that's awesome. I'm glad that, somebody could get a chuckle out of me being an idiot. And hopefully there's other times when people also be like, man, you really made me think about something. And, if that helps too, then awesome.
Well, of course, everybody, they are getting the humor aspect and the funny aspect. And when I was in law enforcement, I started back in the late '80s. Um, you spent your day because of all the things that you saw that were so negative with humor, and that got you
Yeah,
through the day. And so, if when one of your fellow officers made a mistake, that was it. You'd write that joke forever and a day until it got worn out after a while. So I think a lot of officers can appreciate your humor because sometimes that's what they need. They need to have a good laugh during their days.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a huge, pressure relief. It's just one of those things, uh, getting around the water cooler, so to speak. And I don't know, we always call it choir practice, where on Sunday mornings, it's kind of like the midnight shift wraps up and, all sits around, has a beer together and kind of, decompresses. And that's, a lot of the problems with cops is that, we tend to hold on to things. So when we do get to go out and just talk about the experiences that we've had with people who understand it, it's a huge help. So that's one of the greatest compliments I can ever get about the work that I'm doing is, hey, we laugh at this, at roll call or at the end, and it really just helps blow off steam during a stressful day. So I think that's a huge, huge thing.
Most agreeable. Mike, how did you get the idea to even come up with the concept of social media?
Actually, I had been involved in writing online, like a blog, and that seemed to be a common thing. And I had, started a website and was working with Humanizing the Badge, and we were putting out basically just written content and sharing it on Facebook. And then some guys from work showed me a video of this guy, Officer Daniels, and he was on a platform called Vine, which was like 6.5-second short videos. And the guy was cracking me up, and he's in a cop uniform. I couldn't believe that it was a cop. It turned out he definitely, was a real cop. And when he reached out and we started talking, I was surprised because I had always just assumed, like most cops do, like, how do you get away with this? How does your department let you do this? So I learned a lot from him, and I was like, man, A, he's using humor, which is awesome, and B, he's using social media, and we can't be afraid of that. And a lot of the police departments and officers are deathly afraid of social media, but yet it's like this huge area in culture where if you're not in there, you're missing a whole new segment of the population. Like you're not reaching junior high kids or high school kids or even college kids unless as law enforcement we're engaging on social media. So we're losing that battle for perception and future if we're not there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I remember as a kid, my dad would say, "Stop watching that boob tube," which was referring to television.
Right.
And social media has replaced television. My grandkids don't even look at TV. I tell them, "Look, turn on. Here's the on button. Put it on. Look at it." They won't even do that. They stuck inside their phones. So you're absolutely right. You have to communicate with that segment. Was your agency supportive?
Yeah, they were. Like I said, I was already working with the Humanizing the Badge project, so they were familiar with some of the nonprofit type stuff that I was doing, and so when I said, "Hey, I'm going to kind of expand this with this Mike the Cop thing and do some videos and see how it goes," I approached my administration before I ever did it and got their okay, and I went through the policy with sort of like the fine tooth comb, and I was like, all right, if I follow these, guidelines, then I have their permission and I'm going to follow the policy. We should be good. And, I definitely push the envelope, especially with some of the topics or phrases or things that I'll say. but at this point, I think both from an administrative perspective, like broadly, they've seen the benefits of it and how it's helped, in that perception and reaching the goals that we have. And so it's kind of like not a free pass, but there's a lot of trust that's been built up there. So I've never really had an issue, but I always tell guys, make sure you ask that ahead of time, because you don't want to end up jamming yourself up, obviously.
Most definitely. You don't want to piss off the bosses or step on their toes. And I'm glad they are supportive. I think they looked at the bigger picture. And let's take a look at humanizing the badge. Where did that idea come from? How did you get associated with that organization, and what's the purpose of it?
Well, the purpose is to obviously forge relationships between communities and law enforcement that are stronger and better. And the name sort of says it all, right? We want to be able to connect with people on a level that says, like, hey, we're people just like you. Like, people forget that, right? That cops coach Little League and they have kids that go to school, and the same schools that the people they serve go through. Like, we're just people with a job. Like, we're not like, this special caste in society that is disconnected from the rest of the world. It's not like that at all. So that it came from connecting with a lady, Elizabeth Ogden, who had written a piece online called "Dear Officer, I See You," and that sort of went viral, or however you would say it these days. And I reached out to her and wanted to share that, and that just developed a relationship between her and I as far as collaborating on work stuff. And that, she had come up with this idea and concept and name of humanizing the badge. And I came along and said, man, I love the concept. If I could help that, I'd love to do it. And that's where, she and I really pushed out and started, pushing out that content. And then that led to doing community service projects that we call Project Human in all kinds of different cities. And it led to us bringing in a mental health counselor, a police chaplain, because what people started reaching out to us most for was actually like peer support. Like, hey, I was in a shooting. I don't know how to deal with this. Can you help? Or my husband hasn't talked to me in 3 weeks. I know something happened at work, but I don't even know what. I don't know how to deal with this. So we started dealing with people reaching out to us, and that seemed to be the need that emerged. And so that became, for our first couple of years, that was pretty much all we were doing, is just helping people. And doing it for free. And that's what we continue to do today, is offer like 24/7 support. And if we can't help you just by talking it through, then we can refer you to somebody that can, and do it, more seriously long-term or something like that. So we have a real heart for wanting to help people in those unique stresses. And even today, as we speak, our head of the chaplain side of things, he's out at Fort Meade doing something we're calling the Call for Backup campaign for suicide prevention in law enforcement. So we're out there trying to make it happen.
Yeah, and my hat goes off. It is a need. There is a huge segment in law enforcement that, as you know, Mike, it's a very close-knit society. You only have cop friends. You only speak to cops. The only people that visit your house are cops. You're the ones that call your house are cops. And so you don't want to show and demonstrate weakness. And, of course, the suicide levels, although a little lower than they used to be, I was very much involved in that in my agency. Still alarming, about 125 to 150 officers a year. That's, one is way too many. So if you guys are out there doing that, more power to you. I really say that.
Yeah, I would love to put a dent in that number. Even if it's just one, then it's been worth our time. So.
Yes, most definitely. Now, Humanizing the Badge is a nonprofit, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we're going to be posting on our website, lpoliceradio.com, Humanizing the Badge. So, you can go to it and of course, help out, volunteer, or whatever, or donate. I guess you guys also take donations, correct?
Yep, there's a spot to just do straight up donations where, people can get the tax deductible statement, sent to them. We have a store as well that helps offset some of our costs of what we do. And people can buy anything obviously in there, and that helps us be able to continue the work that we do as well.
Yeah, and it's very important work too. Mike, I was also looking at the website and I discovered the 227 project.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
That was around as an independent project that was started by our chaplain, who is my father, and the 227 project comes from my brother's badge number, who was killed in the line of duty in 2010, and so his passion is to strengthen the spirit of the law enforcement community, and like me, he just wants to get back into the community. So he had the 227 project going on, a lot of training locally here in Michigan. And then that kind of merged with HTV. And now we've gone to places like Orlando after the Pulse nightclub shooting, Dallas, and we've put on these, free workshops for stress and all that stuff. Just whatever's encouraging to people and to strengthen them, build them up. And so that all of our sort of like mental health and peer support stuff runs, with that in mind, like the 227 project. Specifically, we typically will only use that name when we're doing it in Michigan, where our coursework is approved, by the Law Enforcement Commission for like continuing credits and stuff like that. But that's the name that we use, and that's where the Call for Backup campaign is coming from too.
Very powerful. My condolences. I heard the testimony this morning. I went to the page 227 project, and I hit the little button and I listened to the recording. It was phenomenal. It took me back because it was real. It was genuine. So now that you told me the story, it really hit me. It really hit me. So we'll link the 227 project on our website as well. Mike, I know you're doing a lot. You're bouncing around. You're helping out. We're humanizing the badge, the 227 project. Mike the Cop has his own page as well. You recently went to Las Vegas to assist there and get some funds going. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we, crazy enough, it seems like this happens a lot to us where when we had a project in Detroit and then the day everyone arrived here, we had officers shot in the line of duty that night. And this seems to happen a lot where we're going. And, maybe that's not by any coincidence, but we were planning, myself and Officer Daniels, to be out in Las Vegas for an unrelated endeavor we have going on together. And when we booked the trip, and then 2 days later, we woke up to obviously the news that shooting had happened out of the Mandalay Bay. And so then we thought, well, can we kind of like tack on a day of being able to do something? And the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Wives really brought this whole thing together. And they're the genesis of Police Wives of America. And they were just out there giving food and water and meeting the immediate needs of all of the first responders, police, fire, EMS, that were still, like when we went, it had been a week and a half since then, and everything was still blocked off. There was still guys stationed 24/7 blocking off the scene, and, they're just standing there for their whole shift, and they were bringing waters, food, and, trying to take care of these guys. So we got to go in and just meet up with some of these, I would call them heroes that dealt with that situation, and just hopefully encourage them, and then we ended up doing a fundraiser for the Police Wives of America to help with their efforts and stuff like that. I ate some like super hot chocolate bar to do that, and I danced on the strip. It was crazy. I do stupid things for money.
I saw it. And the hot chocolate, and just the look on your face and the other officers' faces. I would never even try it ever.
I had these new bars that just came in from somebody that they saw that challenge. So they said, well, you got to do this challenge. And it's a 1/2-pound chocolate bar with Carolina Reapers and scorpion peppers crushed up in it. But the world record is like 6 minutes and 49 seconds to eat the whole half bar of chocolate. So you got to go through the whole thing. So I'm finding a firefighter that's willing to see if he can take the heat and do like police versus fire, and we'll see what happens.
I'm sure somebody's out there going to take the challenge. Mike, you also got a podcast, don't you?
I do, yeah. We've been doing that for a couple of months.
Okay. And what's your basic theme?
We call it off the cuff, and it's my buddy Dave and I who go back and probably 12 or 13 years now. And what we really wanted to do with it was on my YouTube channel, I typically will address common themes that non-cops want to hear about, like how do cops catch speeders, or, why do the cops yell all the time, or, really super basic common questions that cops wouldn't think that people want to know about, but they definitely do. And, but beyond that, I really wanted to start moving toward a show idea where it is cops talking about literally just about anything. And that's where Off the Cuff came in, to where if you really want to get an insight into just, on how we think or what we laugh about or whatever else, then this is a great podcast to listen to. We would want this podcast to be something that, cop or not, people find engaging, interesting, funny, whatever. So we literally do Off the Cuff with minimal preparation. We kind of have like a rough topic idea, and then we kind of just go into the studio and off we go.
Shoot from the hip. I've seen
Exactly.
I've seen it. It is very funny. It really is, and entertaining as well. And I really have to say this, for the civilian world, they're getting a better idea of an officer is really a human being, and I think that's the foundation of your story.
You kind of cut out on that one. Could you repeat that?
I'm looking at your podcast. I've kind of noticed that the theme is not only funny, but it's also giving the civilian world an idea of how officers think and that they are human as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. If that's how you received it, that's great. And we have fun with it. It's a way for us to blow off steam. Like, I really look forward to when we record them, because we usually do 2 at a time. So we sit back and grab our bourbon and just sit there for a couple hours and laugh, and it's just laugh together, and we need to get better at it, but we're just hacks, just having fun, but we're trying to, get better equipment as we can and keep doing it just that much better each time.
Well, the struggle is real, and it's not easy. All the things that you have going, you have a lot on your plate, and a lot of it is service to the community, and especially the law enforcement community. And we congratulate you for doing what you're doing, and you inspire many, many people out there. I want you to know that. From an old
I appreciate that.
From an old guy sitting in Miami and now in Tampa Bay, retired, I've been watching very carefully how you've meticulously put all this together, and you've inspired. You're very inspiring in that message. So I encourage you to keep on.
I appreciate that, and I come down to Tampa fairly regularly, so we'll have to get lunch together.
Sure. Well, like I tell everybody, mi casa, your casa. We do.
There you go.
Same thing in the same line of the business. So mi casa, your casa. Mike, what's the future look like for you?
Oh man, the future looks like I would love to do more speaking at events, and we're working on some law enforcement themed things like coffee company and beef jerky and energy and different things like that. I'd like to be able to secure some business stuff in the future for my family, and that's it. And just because police pensions don't do that much. So trying to do what I can do to provide for my family, and I just want to continue to see the work that we're doing growing. I feel like I'm not under the illusion that social media attention is some long-lasting thing. People will get bored with me and move on to the next shiny trinket. That's okay. I just hope that if we can, for while the time that we have, that people are paying attention to what we're doing, can inspire, 10 more of me in the future to keep doing what, I'm doing in their own way. And, to know that, when it's all said and done, that I was able to do something to inspire people to take action and fight the good fight as far as all what we're doing with law enforcement perception, then I'll be happy.
And you are fighting a good fight. I thank you for coming on the show, Mike. We will link all these websites and all this information that you've shared with us on our website. Our doors are always open to you guys whenever you want to come on and talk about a new venture or something. Feel free, always.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely hit you up when I get to Tampa next time.
Thanks for coming on, Mike.
All right. I appreciate it.
Truly enjoyed that conversation with Mike the cop and everything that he has going on. I knew that it would be an enjoyable interview, and I learned a lot. I always say, you always have time for knowledge, expand your horizon, listen, and I heard a lot of wonderful things. And as I said earlier in the interview, we're going to be linking all those websites onto our page, lpoliceradio.com, so you can go ahead and follow the storyline as well. In today's society, you need good news, and I'm glad that we had him on as a guest and we received the good news. We have a lot of upcoming shows. The 23rd of November, I know you can put down the turkey down for at least an hour and listen to El Police Radio. We're going to kick off our segment, You're Done. And we've spoken about it before. It is life after law enforcement. When you were there, you were on working, wearing uniform, doing the daily chores, fighting with a gun belt. It seemed to you that the gun belt was getting smaller and more difficult to put on and going about your daily routine. Now, all of a sudden, you're retired, you're out of the game, you're not there anymore. And there's a transformation that occurs. We're going to look at the emotional, psychological, and how to get through that era in retirement, how to refocus. A lot of guys that did it for a lot of years can't refocus. So we're going to look at that, some statistical gathering things that we've discovered, and I encourage you to listen. How do you connect to L Police Radio? Well, it's simple. Let's start off with Google. You punch in L Police Radio, and we pop up. Once we pop up, you go straight to our website, Twitter, Facebook, whatever pops up over there, and you join the ranks. Become partner with us, and we'll take this journey together. Every Thursday, there's always a new show. We encourage you to listen every Thursday. Now, before we get into the conversation, I want to talk about something that I recently heard in the media. Our friends on the left never to give up a good, horrid story. Of course, you have massacres out there, and recently there was a Texas shooting in a church. So our libs, our Democratic left wing, our Communist Party, has now placed legislation on the floor to take away your and my rifle. So let's see how that works out for them. I think it's going to be a rude awakening when it's election time, but nevertheless, they're taking this opportunity. You know what's funny to me? How a Democrat, a leftist, almost. I mean, they're so left wing, they lost themselves. Get up on the podium, start talking, rambling about how guns kill people. Never seen that. I've seen people kill people, not guns kill people. And then after they finish their speech of how awful guns are and they should be banned and taken away and all that, they're being protected by people that are armed. So this is amazing. And Again, it's a plot. Another thing that amazes me, and I want to take 2 seconds to say this one, is how our liberal friends want to take your weapon and my weapon away, but they arm Iran, an enemy of this country, with nuclear capability. Amazing. You know what? I think it's time for a musical pause. I can't. We'll be right back, folks.
Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight.
All right, I want to thank Frank for bringing me back. So I'm back. I had a little moment, that's all. And now I'm back. It's always good to take a little pause and take a little musical break. Music is energy to the soul, keeps you going. Now it's that time in the show where we sit back and we have the conversation. We heard that Mike is dedicated to um, nonprofit helping out individuals that are going through times of pain. And of course, it's a difficult time for them, especially family of law enforcement. And I've always said, place your trials on He that is most knowledgeable, most faithful, and never has failed, that can take your suffering and your anxiety and turn it in from a bad to a good. And that's the Lord Jesus Christ. There's a lot of people out there that are going through their daily rut, and sometimes they're hiding a lot of things because they don't know where to turn, and we discussed that in the conversation of the interview. And they need to turn to somebody. But you can always turn to man and somebody, a friend or something that can help you out. We we know that all vessels are done because the Lord provides them, but there's nothing like turning to the man himself and placing those burdens on him. I just want to read one little verse, and I want you to let this one sink in, and we'll end the show with this. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. As it sinks in, I'll see you next podcast. I'm out.